This is the Late Night Show with Dr. Kojo. I am your host, Dr. Kojo, and we will be talking about 4 signs that you might be neurodivergent. The first sign that you might be neurodivergent: difficulty in social interactions. What does that mean? Difficulty in social interactions. Now, this is very arbitrary, right? Difficulty. What is being smooth in social interaction? All of us who are watching this, the 97 people watching on the stream in front of me and the 48 people watching on TikTok, we have all had situations where we were talking in public, and after we went home, we looked in the mirror and we thought to ourselves, that was not our smoothest work. We felt like we were awkward. We just weren't on our A game. So this can happen with anybody, right? Neurodivergent or not. But when you are neurodivergent, let's just take autism, for example. When you're autistic, this condition is a condition where you struggle to communicate with the neurotypical world. It causes a lot of isolation, a lot of frustration. For some people, suicidal ideation, right? And we talk about that. And that's why this content is so important, because if you're feeling like you're the only one who's going through a certain thing, and then you see that other people are going through that thing as well, it validates you. It lets you know that you're part of the human experience. So that's why when it comes to autism, we worry about the isolation that comes. Isolation can come in many different ways. Maybe it's a kid who is dealing with aggression and they're autistic. It's going to be hard for them to socialize. Somebody who is struggling to make friends. Maybe they're unmasking and they're showing their true selves. So you're having a hard time connecting with people. Whether we like it or not, people need people. People are going to need people. So when every single social interaction feels like a quiz, when every single social interaction feels like somebody's watching you, when it feels like you have to rehearse everything to be accepted by other people, it could be a sign that, you might have to come to go see Dr. Kojo. You might have to come to my office. You may have to come to my office. You might have to come to my office. You may have to fill out the appointment and come through. Book a flight to LA or catch me in Dallas right now. You might have to come to my office. If somebody's talking to you, it should not feel like a quiz. Let's say Michaela Lee. If I'm talking to Michaela and I'm saying, hey, Michaela, what's going on? How was your day, Michaela? If Michaela has to sit and think about it and say, my day was okay. I guess it was fine. I just asked Michaela how her day was. That can be really difficult. Think about how much energy it takes to have to come up with an answer on the spot, because you're not really giving the person your true thoughts. You're telling them what you think they want to hear. That can be very, very difficult. How do you keep that up? Special interests. And this is where I'm interested in people's special interests, because I know there's a whole lot of neurodivergent people watching tonight, whether you're watching live or whether you watch the playback. But special interests. You see this more with autism for sure, but I also see it with people who have ADHD. Normally, it's something that you are good at that other people are decent at, but for whatever reason, you are better than everybody else at this one thing, and or you are way more knowledgeable about this one thing than the majority of the population. It could be about the Civil War. It could be about World War II. It could be about presidents. It could be about cars. You might be somebody who knows every single Ford model that has come out. Now, in the day-to-day affairs, it might not get you far, but if you happen to be on Jeopardy and the $1 million question has to do with Ford cars, well, you win $1 million. So it depends. But special interest, and one way that people mask, I see a lot with women, is when you have a special interest that's not in line with what people would expect you to want to do, right? So if you're, a lady and your special interest is the WWE, the majority of your friends in grade school are probably not into Rey Mysterio and Shawn Michaels and Triple H, The Undertaker, but you, for some reason, you might just love the WWE. But if you're masking, you're not going to talk about it. You're just going to kind of, keep it to yourself until you find a safe space where you can talk all about the WWE. That will make your day. It'll make your year if you can talk about something that you genuinely enjoy and other people are enjoying it as well. All right, so the third sign that you might be neurodivergent is you have this unique ability to hyperfocus. Before we go too deep into it, I want to distinguish the hyperfocus from mania, okay? So mania is a distinguishing feature of bipolar disorder. Bipolar 1, bipolar 2, cyclothymia. This is when, for a span of at least 4 days, you're good with little to no sleep. You're extremely motivated. Sometimes you're talking really fast. Your decisions become a bit more questionable. You might spend a lot of money, thrill-seeking behaviors. When you're manic, you can get a lot of things done. You're very, very productive, okay? You're very productive when you're manic. When you're hyper-focusing, it should not impact your sleep as much. Now, you might hyper-focus deep into the night, but it doesn't mean that you're manic. The hyper-focus just means that I'm working on this right now. Don't bother me. Like, I'm working on this. I got to get this due. I got to get this turned in before it's due. I'm working on this project. I got my sticky notes here. I got my water here. I'm working on this right now. Don't break my focus, because if you break it, I might not get it back. So I'm going to remove all distractions. I'm going to zone in on this. Whenever you're studying for a standardized test, SAT, NCLEX, MCAT, whatever the case may be, when you hyper focus before a standardized test, normally you tend to do better. Now, if you're manic, you probably would do well as well. You shouldn't do too bad, but a unique ability to hyper focus. I see this a lot. This is truly an ADHD thing. This is an ADHD thing. Autism, sure, but when autistic people hyper focus, in my experience, is normally from reluctance to deviate away from a routine. Like, I got this routine and I'm going to do things this way and I'm going to lock it and get it done. Now, you could have ADHD and autism and you might just hyper focus in many different unique ways, but hyper focus is a neurodivergent thing. Your relationships have a similar theme to them. Your relationships have a similar theme to them. What does that mean? You normally date the same person, but they have different faces. You may have dated somebody who was from the Philippines, somebody who was from Canada, somebody who was Hispanic or Black or white, but your relationships have a similar theme to them. You end up getting with the same type of person, and it can come from the inability to pick up on social cues or potentially the trauma that you picked up. Because what do we know about growing up neurodivergent? I think it can be a very traumatic experience without a couple of things in place, but most of us don't know that we have ADHD, autism, or whatever the case may be until we're older. So until then, you're going to pick up some trauma that goes unresolved and compounds. Hey, before you know it, you blink your eyes, you're in a codependent relationship. You're in a toxic relationship, but this person makes you feel good. Person makes you feel really good. And anytime your desire to be with a certain person is stronger than your desire for a healthy relationship, you're screwed. You can set your watch. You're screwed. Now, you can watch this live stream in time and then you're going to be unscrewed, but without knowing, you're screwed because you want this person so bad that you forget that you also want a healthy relationship. I do believe that is a neurodivergent thing. Now, it's not just neurodivergent individuals. Anybody can struggle with this, but I believe you're a bit more susceptible